But now let's get right over to the phones and taking time out of what we know is a busy day every single day is Rockford's Chief of Police, Dan O'Shea. Chief, good morning to you.
Good morning, gents. How are you guys?
We're doing great. How's everything going with you this morning?
It's fantastic. Like you said, zero chance of rain and sunshine, so it's a good day.
What does this kind of weather system that we had pour through here do as far as your people out on the streets?
For us, it's not as bad. We respond to crashes and wires down, but then most of the work falls on Public Works and Fire Department, and then obviously ComEd. But our guys will respond to crashes and wires down, and then eventually get relieved either by the Fire Department or ComEd. But it's just responding to the initial incident. Takes a call load really quick, but then, like I said, most of it falls on Public Works, the Forestry Department, and the Fire Department.
I got to figure for some people, it's they look out and it's Armageddon out in their yard and all that. I need to call somebody. I better call the cops and let them know about it.
That's generally people's response is usually just to call 911 or the police, and then they get referred somewhere else. But yeah, they tend to call the police first because it's the catch-all for a lot of things.
Any unique problems that maybe we don't think about that comes across your guys' table in situations like we had the other day?
I don't know if it's unique. I mean, the weather fronts, when you get those cells like that came through, it causes, havoc and chaos for like an hour, and then it settles down. But it's just the initial surge. But, a lot of times people forget about, the elderly, or people who necessarily can't take care of their own homes, and then when they lose power, that's always a big concern for us, is make sure you check on your family and friends and neighbors, during, but immediately after those big storms that come through, because people lose the power or their house gets damaged, trees fall on their houses. We just got to make sure everybody's looking out for each other.
It's a great idea, yeah, especially, when you attack on some heat and all that, loss of power, could be some house damage as well. Yeah, look in on your neighbors who might need an extra helping hand, and, free up the cops to go out and do the things that they do. And, well, one of those things that you guys do and have been doing is dealing with a lot of protests here in town, and a certain sea change took place about a week or so ago with the arrest of some protesters and your explanation on exactly why protesters were arrested.
So we had forewarned them that enough was enough, and the protests interfering with other people's First Amendment rights, if you will, to run their businesses, to drive down the roads, to get to businesses. They got to go to work to provide for their families, and we gave people a lot of latitude. Collectively, when I say we, I'm referring to us, the state attorney's office, who obviously authorizes charges. And the other police agencies, the county sheriff, state. We gave a lot of latitude and a lot of time for people to vent their frustrations, kind of like along with the rest of the country after the George Floyd incident. And we understand people's frustrations, and we understand people's complaints about systemic issues. Unfortunately, the police are usually the focal point of systemic issues, and we don't control a whole lot of things. We do control things, and we have to change things, and we are working to change things. But unfortunately, most of the anger and frustration is pointed right at the police department when it's only one spoke on the wheel. So we gave people a lot of time, weeks, months actually, to vent their frustrations, and gave them some latitude to interrupt people's lives, and we said enough's enough. And we told them enough was enough, and you need to stop doing this. And they chose to push the envelope and cross the threshold. So we, in conjunction with the state attorney's office, said enough's enough, and we're charging you. And then they continued past that first time of being charged, and they want to continue to keep pushing the envelope and cross the line. Every time they do, the results are going to be remarkably similar to the first time. They're going to get arrested. And you commit criminal acts, we're going to charge you with the crimes. And that's our job. And don't interfere with people's lives, livelihoods, their right to conduct business, their right to go to markets, their right to walk down the sidewalk without people screaming and yelling in their face and antagonizing them, or closing their businesses, or threatening their businesses, or going after them on social media. We're going to continue to charge people with interfering and committing crimes against other people or businesses.
Chief, I was down there last Friday, City Market, early in the afternoon, late in the afternoon, and the police presence was noticeable out there. It seemed to be a lot more guys walking around. It also was non-threatening. It wasn't a strong show of force, which I appreciate. It made a nice environment down there. What do you tell the guys to go out there, how to deal, what kind of mentality they should have when they're patrolling something like City Market?
You know, there's no doubt that coronavirus and protests and a lot of other things across the country are weighing on a lot of people, obviously mentally, wears on people. And the cops are no different, and things wear on them too. So we just remind them all the time, you know, you got a job to do your job. Do it professional and remain professional like they have been. And that's not just our department. That's, you know, the county, that's the state, the Loves Park, everybody else that helps us, Park District. But we just remind them, you know, you got a job to do, be professional. And when people cross the line and they become criminal acts, all right, hook them up and take them away and put them on the bus or put them in the squad roll and let the courts do their thing. It's difficult for the officers. There's no two ways about it. And they put up with a lot of people screaming and yelling at them very close up for quite a while. So their amount of restraint and control is extremely admirable, in my opinion. I think they do an awesome job. But we just keep reminding them, got a job to do, and then once we determine someone's going to get arrested, they broke the law. All right, then we have arrest teams set up and just grab that person, hook them up. Hopefully they don't fight. But, you know, we react to people's actions, and it's not us just randomly selecting people to go arrest someone. Hey, let's go arrest that guy or that gal. It's, okay, they committed a crime, now go arrest them. Tell them they're under arrest, and, you know, people who get handcuffed about, like, you know, I don't want to say willingly, but don't fight or don't resist. You tell them you're under arrest, put your hands behind your back. Those people just get handcuffed. They get, you know, charged with whatever the crime is, and then they're usually bonded out or released. Some of the people who just did the really small stuff received just tickets. And then, unfortunately, there's the next level of people who want to resist or commit violent acts. And, you know, our level of force obviously goes up and down with what the resistance is offered. And constantly is played in the media over and over and over ad nauseum are this 5 and 10 second snippets of, you know, oh my gosh, look what just happened here. Well, you missed the first 20 minutes that led up to that 5 or 10 seconds occurring. And so we get inundated, or I get inundated, our departments get inundated with video snippets of, I can't believe your officers did this. Okay, well, we have a lot of video. We cover a lot of ground with our video. So we watch the whole incident unfold. And it's, you know, you get the actual facts, so to speak, instead of just snippets of bad-looking incidents, I guess I would say.
Was there any dialogue leading up to last Friday, between the police officers and a representative of the protesters? Any conversation about what was going to be acceptable, like pre-planning almost?
Sure. We tell them where they're allowed, what the designated protest zones are. We always have a deputy chief that's down there who's the incident commander over the whole thing, and then we obviously have other agencies that help us consistently. The county sheriff, the state police, Loves Park's usually pretty much always with us, Park District. But since it's in the city, we'll have a deputy chief be incident command. And they'll either meet with the protesters or one of the protesters or whoever claims to be in charge of protesters. Tell them, here's your designated zone. This is what's allowed. Don't violate it. And if you have a peaceful protest, that's completely acceptable. But as soon as you take it past the peaceful protest, know that you're subject to arrest, and it's going to happen. So they do that. Chief Glover from the Park District explained things to them about Park District rules and what was going to be acceptable as well. So they're warned. We don't, we put it out publicly as well on social media, to the media, hours ahead of time to market. Here's the zones. Don't block traffic. Don't interfere with other people's rights. And you can protest all you want. But as soon as you commit a criminal act, you're going to be held accountable and you're going to be arrested.
You know, going from a quote by you, I got a follow up to it. Your quote was, "The citizens of Rockford, the businesses of Rockford, have been more than patient over the last couple of weeks, actually months, of tolerating people who want to push the envelope right to the end. Now they've crossed the line and they're going to get arrested." Is there a worry on your part or on the part of other authorities that, as you talk about with this waning patience level, that the violence could beget violence? That somebody at some point is going to go, "That's enough. I'm feeling threatened. You've gone too far," and then we have an incident that really gets out of control.
Absolutely. And I was actually speaking with one of the community groups that I usually meet with pretty routinely yesterday, and I tell them, we have protesters and we have counter-protesters. And counter-protesters are always a big concern for us as well. And we've arrested counter-protesters as well. Ourselves and the sheriff have charged several of the counter-protesters who have taken things and gone to physical violence against protesters. Whether they're frustrated or whether they're just people out there to, try and get away with something, it doesn't matter to us. Whoever is violating the law, equally, both sides, we're arresting them. People will try and say that, "Oh, you're not arresting them because they support the police." It's completely false. That is a complete false narrative, and we arrest anybody that's breaking the law. But the counter-protesters, they are becoming more frequent, if you will, at some of the larger gatherings. But when they break the law, they don't help us, and sometimes they jump up and down and say I support the police, and then they go and commit a crime, hitting somebody or doing something like that. Well, you're not supporting the police; you're just making us work harder.
Right.
Well, we love people who peacefully support the police, much like peaceful protesters can do their thing, and then people who back the police, we love them peacefully. But then there's always a few that, again, push the envelope, cross the line, and they're getting arrested. So it just causes more work for us. So we prefer counter-protesters just stay away and, let us deal with the one problem we have. We don't need two problems. Believe me, we have plenty of other problems throughout the city besides just the handful of protesters that want to cause chaos and, incite public riots, if you will. They're not riots. I shouldn't say that. That's a strong word, but promote public chaos. So outside of that little square, that little group of people that are causing that, we've got all the other things that are happening throughout the city. Our shootings have gone up exponentially in 2019 since March, and those, I'd much rather be working on those and getting those violent criminals off the street than having to dedicate resources to people who want to yell and scream about the police, they hate the police, but then they get arrested by the police, but then they ask the police to arrest the people that are violating their rights. Well, you can't have your cake and eat it too, man. I don't like you, I hate you, but arrest that guy who just punched me in the face. Okay, well, apparently you do need me, so is there a happy ground? And we're always trying to reach that happy medium, and we always have the door open. The mayor's office has the door open. Work for solutions, but screaming, yelling, ranting, raving, and then saying, we don't want to talk to you. Well, okay, well, what's the end game? What are you doing? You got to have a goal, an end game. But screaming, yelling, ranting, raving is solving no problems.
You had mentioned the uptick in shootings that you would much rather be focusing all efforts on. You got a theory on why we're seeing this?
Well, there's certain individuals of all ages that are being detained, and and there's no doubt in our mind, and our statistics and our case investigations show it over and over, and it's nothing that I haven't said for the last 4 years. There is a small group of people, percentage-wise, that are committing all the shootings and the murders and the violent crimes. Well, when they get back out of prison or jail and they're not detained or held, it's no secret that a lot of them will reoffend and they become our violent offenders yet again. And it's, we try and work around that with, we're doing that reentry program and stuff, but it's not a stretch for us to prove. In a court of law, it's a stretch for us to prove, but for us to know who's doing the shootings and chasing them down, we know which groups are doing it, the individuals that are doing it. But trying to catch people who are mobile 24/7, and are driving throughout the city. A lot of the shootings, as of recently, are car-to-car shootings. One of them, and people are not understanding the gravity of this right now. For 3 years straight, we pushed crime down. This year, since March, since Corona, since the kids have been allowed out of school, they're not in school, since people have lost their jobs, people have nothing else going on in their lives, they have a lot of stress in their lives, they might not have work or money, that causes people to lose their minds a little bit too. But people are out on the streets, they're seeing each other, and they are blasting away at each other. One shooting the other day, there was more than 60 rounds exchanged.
I'm sorry, did you say 60 rounds? 60,
more than 60.
Wow.
I won't give you the exact number, but more than 60 rounds were exchanged on one street. Individuals in cars blasting away at each other. And all they did was hit 4 or 5 different houses on that street that had nothing to do with it. That's a huge concern. And that has been happening over and over and over again. We've put out the releases to the media. I don't think they get as much attention as they should, and I don't think people are as concerned as they should be. And they will be, though, when a stray round catches a kid, which it's bound to happen. The amount of gunfire that's going on right now, I think we're up about 35 to 40% shootings this year. The amount of gunfire there, it's going to get innocent people. There's no two ways about it, and it's just a matter of time. And we want to stop it before that happens. But we always, as always, ask the public, call us, let us know who's doing the shootings, let us know where they're stashing their guns, let us know where the cars are, we'll grab them. And we're grabbing people weekly, but it's difficult because they're driving around, they see each other, and then they just start blasting away. And it's very frustrating, to say the least.
I would imagine that it is, and like you said, it's just the law of averages and probabilities. Sooner or later, somebody's going to get caught up in that crossfire, and we're going to have a severe tragedy on our hands. So, yeah, if you guys know of anything out there, let the police know. Single out some of the bad actors in your own neighborhood and make the whole place a lot better for everybody else by getting in touch. Chief, we know you got a lot of things going on, and we always appreciate you carving time out of our schedule. Appreciate what you're doing out there on the streets as well. And, we'd love to get together and chat again real soon.
Sounds good. I appreciate you having me, guys. Have a great day.
You too.